Hello students, welcome to Maths class. In this video, we are going to have quick revision of the chapter Inverse Trigonometric Functions, and side by side I will discuss problems on the topic. So let us go ahead. First of all, let us start with principal value branches because it is one of the very important part of this chapter. We will revise domains and ranges of principal value branches for all inverse trigonometric functions. Already I have explained these to you with the help of graph and by taking revision of trigonometric functions in my first video. Link is provided in the description box of this video. You can watch the video from there only. So let me have a quick revision for all these domains and ranges of principal value branches for all these t ratios, inverse t ratios, inverse t functions actually this is. So first of all, it is y is equal to sine inverse x. For y is equal to sine inverse x, the domain is from -1 to 1 closed interval and principal value branch is closed interval minus pi over 2 to pi over 2. Now, if you want to learn it quickly, let me tell you one method of it, that instead of taking cos inverse after sine inverse x, it is better to learn first of all sine inverse x, then take tan inverse x and then take cosec inverse x and learn these three all together. Why this is so? Because you see that in sine inverse x, the principal value branch is in closed interval of minus pi over 2 and pi over 2. Whereas for tan inverse x with the same values, the values are in open interval. Why this is so? Because for tan inverse x, we know at the value of minus pi upon 2 and pi upon 2, the tan becomes not defined. That's why we are taking them in open interval. Now let us go to cosec inverse x. For cosec inverse x, by taking closed interval of minus pi over 2 and pi over 2 and subtracting 0 from it only. Why this is so? Because at 0, cosec x will become infinite, that is not defined. Therefore, these three can be learned very easily and quickly all together. Now let us take the third, let us take cos inverse x, then sec inverse x and cot inverse x all together. For cos inverse x, the principal value branch is 0 to pi closed interval, and for cot inverse x, the same branch with open interval, and for sec inverse x, 0 to pi closed interval minus pi by 2 with the same reasons as I have explained for cosec inverse x and tan inverse x. So if you learn these three, that is sine inverse x, tan inverse x and cosecant inverse x all together, and then cos inverse x, sec inverse x and cot inverse x all together, it will be easy for you to keep these things, these principal value branches in your mind. And let us talk about the domain. Domain, there is, I think, not a big problem to learn these because these are same as you have studied the range of trigonometric functions. So the range of trigonometric functions, that is sin x, cos x, cosec x, sec x, tan x, cot x, now become the domain of inverse functions. So you can easily learn these domains if you are having the range of trigonometric functions. These are same as ranges of trigonometric functions. Now let me discuss some problems which are based on domains and ranges of principal value branch of these inverse trigonometric functions. Let us start with a very simple problem on principal value. The question is, find the principal value of sine inverse root 3 upon 2. To understand this problem, First of all, let us recall that on which angles the value of sine will be root 3 upon 2. So these values are pi upon 3, then 2 pi upon 3 in second quadrant, pi upon 3 in first quadrant, 2 pi upon 3 in second quadrant. Then again in first quadrant, if we move on, then 7 pi upon 3, again the value of sine angle is root 3 upon 2. Then sine 8 pi upon 3 is also 1 upon root 3. So and so on. Why so on? Because trigonometric functions are the cyclic functions. So there are so many angles on which the value of sine will be root 3 upon 2. But here we need to find out principal value. So just we need to focus on the principal value branch of sine function, sine inverse function. So as we know that principal value branch of sine inverse function is minus pi upon 2 closed interval. So out of all these values, which one is lying in this interval? So clearly value pi upon 3 is lying in the principal value branch of sine inverse function. So therefore we can write principal value of sine inverse root 3 upon 2 is pi upon 3, because all other values are not belong to this interval, do not belong to this interval. So therefore the answer will be pi upon 3 as the principal value of sine inverse root 3 upon 2. Let us take the next problem. Find the principal value of sine inverse minus root 3 upon 2. So first of all we need to think the angle on which the value of sine is minus root 3 upon 2. As we know that sine function is negative in third and fourth quadrant. So we need to take angles in third and fourth quadrant so that the value of sine is negative and the value is also root 3 upon 2. So clearly the values are 4 pi upon 3, 5 pi upon 3. Then after taking whole circle, again in third quadrant we are getting value 10 pi upon 3, 11 pi upon 3 and so on. So again there are so many values on which the value of sine function will be minus root 3 upon 2. But as we need to calculate the principal value, and we know that principal value branch, just we have write down it in the previous question, principal value branch of sine inverse function is minus pi over 2 in closed interval. So it means we need to go either in fourth quadrant or in first quadrant. There is no space for third or fourth quadrant because principal value branch, let me draw quadrant over here. This is first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant and fourth quadrant. So one way of moving to fourth quadrant is like multiplying the angles, and another way is to take the negative of the angle. Means if in first quadrant we are taking pi upon 3, here we can take minus pi upon 3. So sine pi by 3 having positive value, whereas sine minus pi by 3 is having negative value. So here we need to move in fourth quadrant. So instead of going in fourth quadrant in this way, the better way is this one. Why this is so? Because we need to follow the principal value branch as well, and that allows us to go to fourth quadrant by taking negative angles, that is minus pi upon 2 to 0 and then 0 to pi upon 2. So therefore, looking at the principal value and looking at the value minus root 3 upon 2, the principal value of sine inverse minus root 3 upon 2 is minus pi upon 3. The next problem is find principal value of cos inverse minus root 3 upon 2. I have taken the same value and with cos inverse x to make the solution more clear to you. We'll move in the same way. First of all, we'll think that on which angle the value of cos function is minus root 3 upon 2. We find that on the angles 5 pi upon 6 and 7 pi upon 6 and so on. 5 pi upon 6 is in second quadrant where the cos is negative, and 7 pi by 6 is in third quadrant where the cos is again negative. So on these values the value of cos will be negative and minus root 3 upon 2. Okay, but we need to recall principal value branch of cos inverse function now. So let us recall principal value branch of cos inverse function is 0 pi in closed interval. So means let us go for quadrant. 0 to pi closed interval indicates that we are allowed to go in first quadrant and in second quadrant to calculate the principal value of cos inverse of any function. So we have to leave all other angles which are not lying in this range, means 0 to pi means first and second quadrant, in first and second quadrant also strictly between 0 to pi. So clearly the angle 5 pi upon 6 is lying between 0 to pi, or we can say 5 pi upon 6 belongs to the interval 0 to pi, means the principal value branch of cos inverse function. So therefore principal value of cos inverse minus root 3 upon 2 is 5 pi upon 6. So I hope you understood. In case of sine inverse minus root 3 upon 2, we have taken the value in fourth quadrant. Why? Because the principal value branch for sine inverse is minus pi upon 2, 2 pi upon 2 closed interval. So for the negative value in case of sine inverse function, we need to go in fourth quadrant. For positive, we need to go in first quadrant. Whereas in case of cos inverse function, for positive value we need to remain in first quadrant, and for negative value we need to go in second quadrant, because this satisfies the range of principal value branch. Let us try one more problem. Find the principal value of tan inverse minus 1. You know that value of tan function is 1 at the multiples of pi by 4. If it is in first and third quadrant, the value is positive, that is positive value we are getting for tan function, and in second and fourth quadrant we are getting negative value, and for getting value 1 or minus 1 we need to take the multiples of pi by 4. So we need negative values, so therefore let us take the multiple of pi by 4 which will lie in second or fourth quadrant. So let us go for that. It is 3 pi upon 4, 7 pi upon 4, minus pi upon 4, because as I told you in case of sine inverse function that there is one more way to move to the fourth quadrant, and this is by taking the negative of the angle. So 3 pi by 4 will lie in second quadrant, 7 pi by 4 lie in fourth quadrant, minus pi by 4 again in fourth quadrant, and there are so many angles which are multiple of pi by 4 and will lie in second and fourth quadrant and will give us the value of tan function as minus 1. So these all are the values with us, but we need to calculate principal value. means we need to recall principal value branch of tan inverse function. And if you remember, the principal value branch of tan inverse function is minus pi upon 2 open interval. So clearly minus pi upon 4 belongs to this range. So we will write minus pi upon 4 belongs to minus pi upon 2 open interval. Therefore, principal value of tan inverse minus 1 is minus pi upon 4. Next, let me take principal value of cot inverse minus 1 to have comparison with tan inverse minus 1. So, again we know that the multiples of pi by 4 in second quadrant and in fourth quadrant will give you the value of cot function as minus 1. So, let us take the values in second and fourth quadrant. So, these are, as I just write down, 3 pi upon 4, 7 pi upon 4, minus pi upon 4 and so on. But let us recall principal value branch of cot inverse function, and you know it is 0 pi open interval. Now we need to find out that which angle is lying between this range. So clearly 3 pi upon 4 belongs to 0 to pi open interval. Therefore, principal value of cot inverse minus 1 is 3 pi upon 4. I hope you understood that how to calculate principal value of given angles for trigonometric functions. Similarwise, you may try more questions for sec inverse and cosecant inverse. Now let us find the use of these properties. This is sin inverse sin x is equal to x when x belongs to closed interval minus pi upon 2 to pi upon 2. Cos inverse x cos x will be x when the range is 0 pi closed interval. Tan inverse tan x is equal to x when x belongs open interval minus pi over 2 pi over 2. Cot inverse x cot x is equal to x when x belongs to open interval 0 pi. Sec inverse sec x is equal to x when x belongs to 0 pi closed interval minus pi upon 2. Cosec inverse cosec x is equal to x when x belongs to closed interval minus pi over 2 minus 0. The reason already I have explained in the first video. To see the use of above properties, let me take this example. In this, we need to prove sin inverse 2x square root of 1 minus x square is equal to 2 sin inverse x, where x is lying between minus 1 upon root 2 to 1 upon root 2. So, to solve this type of problems, we will use substitute method. So, first of all, let us substitute x in such a way that after putting that substitute value over here, we get some identity of trigonometry. So clearly 1 minus x square, if we replace this x either by sin theta or by cos theta, then clearly we will get identities either 1 minus sin square theta, which can be written as is equal to cos square theta, or if we are putting x as cos theta, then we can have 1 minus cos square theta as sin square theta. And these are the identities you studied them well in your 10th class. So we can replace this x either by sin theta or by cos theta. So let substitute x as sin theta. So clearly we are getting theta is equal to sin inverse x from here. Now let us substitute the value in our LHS side. So LHS is sine inverse 2x square root of 1 minus x square. Putting x is equal to sine theta over here, we are getting sine inverse 2 sine theta into square root of 1 minus sine square theta. Clearly, this can be written as sine inverse 2 sine theta into cos theta, because 1 minus sine square theta is cos square theta and root of it is cos theta. Better to write here, put x is equal to sine theta and then proceed. So now we know that 2 sine theta cos theta is a very well known identity and it is sine 2 theta. Now we are at the point where we can write sine inverse sine x is equal to x, but the condition on x is x should belong to closed interval minus pi upon 2 pi upon 2. So means we can write it as 2 theta only if this 2 theta belongs to closed interval minus pi upon 2 pi upon 2. So means before writing it as 2 theta, we need to prove this result, and this result can be proved by using the given condition, which is x lies between minus 1 upon root 2 and 1 upon root 2. This is one of the very important part of this question. So observe it carefully that how to prove. So we'll write here, we need to prove this thing. So for this, as given minus 1 upon root 2 less than equal to x less than equal to 1 upon root 2, and you know we have substitute x as sine theta. So let us replace this x with sine theta. Minus 1 upon root 2 less than equal to sine theta less than equal to 1 upon root 2. Now we need to find that on which value of theta the values of sine will be minus 1 upon root 2 and 1 upon root 2 between the principal range, and principal value range of sine theta is closed interval minus pi upon 2 pi upon 2, and therefore the values are minus pi upon 4 less than equal to theta less than equal to pi upon 4 at because sine minus pi by 4 is minus 1 upon root 2 and sine pi by 4 is 1 upon root 2. So we just replaced minus 1 upon root 2 by sine by minus pi by 4 by taking inverse. You can say that sine inverse minus 1 upon root 2. We can add one more step over here, like you can write sine inverse minus 1 upon root 2 less than equal to theta less than equal to sine inverse 1 upon root 2, and this already we have studied in case of principal value branch. So now, but we need 2 theta. We need 2 theta and we are having theta here. So means we need to multiply all 3 by 2. So after multiplication, we are getting minus pi upon 2 less than equal to 2 theta less than equal to pi upon 2, and which is the required result. So therefore, we can write sine inverse sine 2 theta as only 2 theta. And now let us replace the value of theta with the original one, because we have put x as sine theta. Let me show you. We have put over here x as sine theta, so theta is sine inverse x. So let us replace again this theta with sine inverse x. So the final answer that we are getting is 2 sine inverse x, which is right hand side of the solution. In this way, we can use the properties of inverse trigonometric functions in other problems also. Let us see the use of these properties now. These are tan inverse x plus tan inverse y is equal to tan inverse x plus y upon 1 minus xy, where xy should less than 1. Tan inverse x minus tan inverse y is equal to tan inverse x minus y upon 1 plus xy, where this xy should greater than minus 1. Sin inverse x plus sin inverse y is equal to sin inverse x square root of 1 minus y square plus y into square root of 1 minus x square. Sin inverse x minus sin inverse y is having negative sign in place of positive sign in this property, and cos inverse x plus cos inverse y is equal to cos inverse xy minus square root of 1 minus x square into square root of 1 minus y square, whereas when negative sign is here, this negative sign is replaced by plus sign. The proof of these properties already I have explained in the first video of this chapter. The link is provided in description box. You may go and watch videos from there. Now let me take problems based on these properties. Here is the problem. Show that cos inverse 4 upon 5 plus tan inverse 3 upon 5 is equal to tan inverse 27 upon 11. To prove this, or to use the properties that we have just discussed, either we need to change cos inverse 4 upon 5 into tan inverse of some value, or tan inverse 3 upon 5 into cos inverse of some value. But now in this question we need to prove on RHS it is tan inverse 27 upon 11. The angle, the t ratio, that the t function that we are having is tan inverse. So better to change this cos inverse function into tan inverse function, so that in second step we can apply the property tan inverse x plus tan inverse y, and we can prove that it is tan inverse of the value. Now here first of all we need to change cos inverse 4 upon 5 into tan inverse. So how to do? Let us do it. For this again we need to go to substitute. Let cos inverse 4 upon 5 is equal to x or theta or y, you may substitute any variable over here, which implies cos x is equal to 4 upon 5. We need tan here, so means to calculate tan x we need to calculate sin x as well, and we know that sin x is equal to 1 minus cos square x. So let us put the value of cos square x over here. We are getting 1 minus 16 upon 25 with square root sign. So from here we are getting the result as 3 upon 5, because 25 minus 16 9, and it is 3 upon 5 after taking root sign. So therefore we can calculate tan x is equal to sin x upon cos x. This is very well known to you. So after calculating 3 upon 5 upon 4 upon 5, we are getting 3 upon 4, and this is the value of tan x, and from here we get x is equal to tan inverse 3 upon 4. What does it mean? It means that cos inverse 4 upon 5 can be written as tan inverse 3 upon 4. So let us rewrite the question as tan inverse 3 upon 4 plus tan inverse 3 upon 5, and this is our new LHS. Now using property tan inverse x plus tan inverse y is equal to tan inverse x plus y upon 1 minus xy. So if we use this property, we are getting tan inverse x plus y means 3 upon 4 plus 3 upon 5 upon 1 minus 3 upon 4 into 3 upon 5 and calculate the result. So we are getting 10 inverse 27 upon 20 in numerator and 11 upon 20 in denominator, which on further solution give us 10 inverse 27 upon 11 and which is equal to RHS. So in this way you can use properties to prove your questions or to solve your problems. In the same manner, we can use other properties in solving problems on the topic inverse trigonometry. I hope you understood the topic and you can solve more problems on the chapter of inverse trigonometric functions. We'll meet again in other videos. Till then, keep learning.